They thought Africa would never fight back, but Gabon just sent shockwaves through Europe, canceling an 18-year fishing agreement with the EU without notice, no warning, no apology, just power. For years, European trawlers hauled billions in seafood from African waters, while Gabon got breadcrumbs. That era is over. Africa is reclaiming what's hers, and Gabon just drew the line in the sand. This is not just a fishing story. It's a sovereignty revolution. Stay with us to uncover the real reason Gabon cut ties and how it fits into a rising African movement that's shaking the West. In 2006, Gabon signed a fishing partnership with the EU, promising economic development, sustainable fishing, and shared prosperity. But reality painted a different picture. Over 18 years, EU fleets harvested hundreds of thousands of tons of fish. Local fishermen were sidelined. Coastal ecosystems were damaged. Promised development aid rarely made it past paperwork. For Gabonese fishermen, it wasn't cooperation, it was colonization at sea. The numbers don't lie. The EU paid Gabon about 1.6 million euros per year for fishing access, a fraction of the true value of fish extracted. Meanwhile, Gabon's coastal communities struggled with rising unemployment and food insecurity. Europe got seafood, Gabon got silence, until now. Gabon says enough. In July 2025, Gabon's new leadership shocked the EU. They terminated the deal with immediate effect. European vessels were ordered out of Gabonese waters within 72 hours. Officials cited blatant economic injustice and ecological harm. It's no longer acceptable for Africa to export wealth and import poverty. Gabonese fisheries minister. Why now? Why so abrupt? Pan-African momentum is growing. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are rejecting colonial treaties. Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe are banning raw mineral exports. Botswana is renegotiating diamond deals. Gabon is aligning with a new Africa First agenda. Take control of natural resources, build local industry, say no to exploitation masked as partnership. EU diplomats were caught completely off guard. No prior notice, no negotiation window. The European fishing industry faces millions in losses. Political pressure is mounting in Brussels. They thought Gabon was still under the old rules. They were wrong. This is a new Africa. Gabon's green vision. Gabon's move isn't just reactive, it's strategic. The government plans to develop sustainable local fisheries, empower artisanal fishermen, create value-added seafood exports, canning, processing, protect marine biodiversity with new conservation zones. Our oceans are our future, not Europe's buffet. Across the continent, leaders are applauding Gabon's courage. Social media in Nigeria, Senegal, Ghana, and South Africa exploded in support. Analysts are calling it the African Ocean Doctrine. From our land to our sea, we will no longer be robbed with contracts and smiles. The psychological liberation. Beyond economics, this is about mindset. For centuries, African governments were taught to believe foreign aid is a gift, not a leash. Exports are survival, not sabotage. Agreements must favor partners, not citizens. But a new generation of African leaders, like Traoré, Faye, and now Gabon's leaders, are rewriting the script. What this means for Europe. Europe now faces a hard truth. Africa is done with being passive. Future deals must be fair, respectful, and mutually beneficial. Gabon's exit sets a precedent. Other African coastal nations may follow. EU fishing fleets may be pushed out continent-wide. This isn't the end of one deal. It's the start of Africa's ocean revolution. Gabon said enough, and that's enough to change everything. If you're watching from Africa, this is your story. If you're watching from the West, this is your wake-up call. Like, share, and subscribe if you believe in African sovereignty. Welcome to African Diary 24, the channel where Africa speaks for itself. From powerful stories and rich cultures to political realities and grassroots movements, we bring you content that informs, inspires, and challenges the narrative. Whether you're here to learn, connect, or explore, you're in the right place. This is Africa, unfiltered, unapologetic, and rising. Hit that subscribe button and become part of the journey. Disclaimer. The content featured on African Diary 24 is for informational, educational, and documentary purposes only. We aim to represent stories with accuracy and integrity, but the views expressed in interviews or commentary do not necessarily reflect those of the channel. We do not promote hate, violence, or political bias. Viewer discretion is advised, especially for sensitive topics. Always do your own research and think critically.
Many scratching their heads, wondering why Gabon would abruptly end a deal that has been in place since 2006. But the truth is, Gabon has had enough. The tiny Central African nation has grown tired of being taken advantage of by the EU and its voracious fishing fleets. And now they're retaking a stand to protect their own resources and secure a better future for their people. But what does this mean for the EU? As one of the world's biggest fishing partners, the EU will have to find new ways to meet its demand for fish or face the consequences of overfishing in their own waters. With the stakes so high, it's crucial that we explore this situation further and understand why Gabon is making this bold move. Join us as we delve into the details of this groundbreaking decision and discover what it means for the future of fishing in Gabon and beyond. Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the latest news and updates on global economics. Before we begin, please take the time to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. As the saying goes, where there's smoke, there's fire. In the case of Gabon, the rumors of discontent have been circulating for years. Local Gabonese have long complained that the deal has allowed EU vessels to overfish in their waters, depleting fish stocks and hindering their own fishing industries. Despite repeated calls for renegotiation, the Gabonese government felt unheard and undervalued, prompting them to take drastic action. However, the true extent of the dissatisfaction came to light when leaked documents revealed that the European Commission had extended the agreement without consulting the Gabonese parliament, a move that outraged many citizens and government officials alike. In response, President Oligui Nguema delivered a blistering speech outlining the Gabonese people's grievances and announcing the termination of the deal. With this unexpected move, Gabon is sending a clear message to the EU that they will no longer tolerate being taken advantage of and that they are ready to stand up for their own interests. But how will the EU react to this sudden change? Only time will tell. Let us delve deeper into this issue and explore the underlying reasons behind the termination of this long-standing fishing deal. One of the most significant reasons for the termination of the fishing deal is the perceived imbalance in the agreement. For years, local fishermen have complained about the influx of EU vessels in Gabonese waters, arguing that they have been priced out of the market due to the subsidies and lower operating costs of their European counterparts. This has resulted in a decline in the fish stocks and made it difficult for local fishermen to make a living. The Gabonese government shares these concerns and believes that the deal has not provided enough benefits for its citizens. By ending the agreement, they hope to protect the livelihoods of local fishermen and ensure the sustainability of the fish stocks for future generations. Moreover, the recent revelations about the lack of consultation regarding the agreement's extension have further fueled the tensions between Gabon and the EU. The Gabonese people feel that their government was not adequately represented in the negotiations and that their interests were not taken into account. This lack of transparency has led to a sense of betrayal and resentment, ultimately contributing to the decision to terminate the deal. The Gabonese government has made it clear that they want a more equitable agreement that benefits all parties involved. However, it remains to be seen whether the EU is willing to renegotiate a new deal that meets the Gabonese demands. Another important factor to consider is the broader context of the global fishing industry. Overfishing has become a major problem in recent years, and many countries are taking measures to protect their fish stocks from being depleted. By ending the deal with Gabon, the EU could face criticism for not doing enough to protect marine resources. Additionally, the EU's decision to extend the agreement without consulting the Gabonese parliament has drawn attention from other African countries, who are also seeking to renegotiate their own fishing deals with the EU. If the EU fails to reach a new agreement with Gabon, it could set a bad example and potentially encourage other African countries to follow suit. This could have serious implications for the EU's fishing industry, which relies heavily on African waters to supply its demand for fish. It will be interesting to see how the EU responds to these challenges, and whether they are willing to work with Gabon to reach a new agreement that is more beneficial for both parties involved. Now that we've explored some of the underlying reasons for the termination of the fishing deal, let's look at the implications of this decision for both Gabon and the EU. For Gabon, ending the deal with the EU could have both positive and negative implications. On one hand, it could allow the country to protect its marine resources and rebuild fish stocks, which could lead to a more sustainable fishing industry in the long run. Additionally, it could send a strong message to other countries that Gabon is not afraid to stand up for its own interests and protect its natural resources. However, it could also have negative implications, as the country will likely face backlash from the EU, which could damage the relationship between the two regions. Furthermore, the loss of revenue from the fishing industry could have a significant impact on the local economy, especially in coastal communities that rely on fishing as a source of income. The Gabonese government will need to carefully consider these implications and develop strategies to mitigate any negative impacts on the local economy while still protecting the country's marine resources. As for the EU, the loss of access to Gabonese waters could have significant implications for the fishing industry in the region. The EU currently relies on African fishing grounds to meet a significant portion of its demand for fish, and the loss of this access could lead to shortages in the market. Additionally, it could have an impact on the livelihoods of the people who depend on the fishing industry for their income. The EU will need to find alternative sources of fish to meet its demand and ensure that its fishing industry remains sustainable. It will also need to consider the implications of losing such an important fishing partner and work towards building new relationships with other countries. In conclusion, the termination of the fishing deal between Gabon and the EU is a significant development that will likely have far-reaching implications for both regions. While Gabon seeks to protect its marine resources and assert its sovereignty, the EU must find alternative sources of fish to meet its demand and navigate the complexities of the global fishing industry. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, it will be important for countries to work together to find sustainable solutions that benefit all parties involved. We can only hope that the future of fishing brings more cooperation and understanding between nations. In a surprising turn of events, Gabon has decided to break away from its long-standing fishing agreement with the European Union, leaving many people wondering about the future of fisheries in the region. Now that the deal is officially dead, what's next for Gabon and the EU? How will each party move forward, and what impact will this have on the global fishing industry? Despite the deal's termination, both Gabon and the EU still have the opportunity to salvage the situation and work towards a brighter future for their fishing industries. Now is the time for both parties to come to the negotiating table with a willingness to compromise and find common ground. Hopefully, they can reach a new agreement that ensures the sustainability of the fishing industry and protects the livelihoods of those who depend on it. That being said, it is also important to recognize the possibility that this may be the beginning of a new era in global fishing agreements. As the world becomes increasingly aware of the importance of sustainable fishing practices, we may see other countries following in Gabon's footsteps and demanding more equitable and sustainable deals. This could lead to a much-needed shift in the global fishing industry and pave the way for a more sustainable future. Regardless of what the future holds, one thing is clear: the decision to terminate the fishing deal between Gabon and the EU is a significant moment in the history of the fishing industry. It will be interesting to see how each party moves forward and what impact this will have on the global fishing industry. Thank you for joining us today as we explored the shocking news of Gabon's decision to end its fishing deal with Europe. We hope you found this video informative and enjoyed our coverage of this important topic. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with your friends and family if you found it valuable. Your support means everything to us and we appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you in the next video.